So everybody always talks about the feds. The state is composed of 150 House reps. Everybody should know who their House reps. That's what the lady was talking about in the video, and the Instagram. She said, who is your state House rep? And then in Texas, we have 150, and for state senators, we have 31. And each one of them represents a district within Texas. Next slide, please. 31 and 150. Let's look at the issue DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Next slide. This is the policy part. Casey and I went to the University of North Texas at UNT. The one in the middle talks about Mr. Woolard. Mr. Woolard was talking about retention of African American males. They created a program called Marshall Eagles, whereas they were going to take African American males and track them each semester of their year to make sure they're matriculated through school. Created called a Marshall Eagle program. Had a dormitory that they enrolled in, that's over there where it says Wallace Hall, separate and apart, will provide them with special RAs, mentors, and track them throughout the University of North Texas because we have the lowest retention rate at the University of North Texas. Casey was there at the University of North Texas. He was doing his time period and the time periods that came after that. We fought to have a multicultural center. And they had plans to build a standalone building with the multicultural center as well. That was back in 2021. At UCD, they talked about the multicultural center. If you went to any university, they had, unless it's an HBCU, they had a multicultural center. All right? Next slide. Because the state legislature met, and because they passed Senate Bill 17, layoffs happened at all the Texas schools. 131 scholarships were put on hold. We're talking about things that affect African Americans. Texas A&M had a scholarship named after basketball players, unfortunately, who passed away because they were on their way to a game. Scholarships got eradicated. Also, the Marshall Eagles program put on hold. No more resources are being allocated for those African American men to make sure they matriculate through school. This is what happens when our people stay at home. This is what happens when they're not concerned about the issues. And even the students that I talk to at UNT know all this stuff and sees it happening, and they haven't done anything about it. The last one at UT, doors are closed, funding stayed. Students where UT is taking Texas new DEI ban too far. This is the policies that are coming out. The next slide, please, with these people that we're elected. Everybody knows these people. Retta Bowers, Tony Rose to the right, Yvonne Davis top left, Vincent Jones 100. Who knows who's the guy in the middle right there with the smallest picture?
Leach, right? Representative Leach.
That's Leach on the right, top right. Leach is the one that's out there in Allen. And then House Speaker, yes. Dave Peay. Barely won his primary. And what he's doing in the State House is he will allow Democrats to be over committees. If he doesn't get reelected in next year, then what's going to happen is the Republicans are going to not allow any Democrats to be over any committees, which means we can't propose new laws, new proposals, and new bills. Wow. This is why we have to be engaged in there, because when we're not engaged in this space, what happens is laws like DEI gets passed, funding that goes towards African Americans, things that are allocated towards us gets eradicated. This was just the school level. We haven't even started talking about the medical field. We haven't talked about the maternity and mortality rate for African American women. We haven't even gotten to other issues that are coming out of the state legislature. A lot of times we focus at the top of the ticket. Never do we ever look and see what's coming out of Austin. Next slide. Talk about our Texas senators. There are over 31. Y'all know Royce West, everybody knows him. One of the things that Boris Miles out of Houston, Nathan Johnson out of North Dallas, one in the middle, the lady, Angela Paxson, who's married to the Attorney General, State Attorney General as well. It's one of the people that we have to start talking to are people who do not live in predominantly African American areas. Those people have to start engaging in the political process and get ready to vote. And a lot of times when it comes to the state representatives' house, state senators, like you heard in the clip earlier, they don't know who these people are. These people might not get top billers like the president where you see commercials all day. You might not get the news story, whatever the case may be, but we gotta start educating students and our community on these people and what they represent and what kind of effect it can have on our lives. Anybody have any questions, talking points? Next slide. Climate change and funding of the government. One of the current hot topics. Let's go to the legislative branch at the federal level. How many House of Representatives are there?
Oh, for us, just Texas.
Well, not for Texas. How many House of Representatives, United States House of Representatives? If you even know the answer, that's good. Uh, 435. There are 435 people who are elected to the United States Congress. Y'all know them: Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Waters, Pete Sessions, Michael Neal out of Shreveport, the Speaker of the House. There are 435. How often do we elect into office?
Every 2 years, I believe.
Every 2 years, they're going to be on your ballot. And that's why I say we need to pull up our sample ballot. Every 2 years, these people are always running. Next slide. How many people in the Senate?
It's 100, 2 for Texas.
2 for the Senate. At the beginning of the year, these were the numbers of the breakdowns of the legislators. This is such change because people have passed away, people have been expelled. So the numbers are kind of close. The Democrats are still 51 to 49 in the Senate, but that House has gotten margins really close with the vacancies, and that number has changed. But this is why we're talking to people who's talking about vote up and down the ballot. These numbers mean something. The president can promise you the whole world that these numbers, if these people don't put that information on the desk, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And a lot of times when we talk about our people that we talk to, they don't understand this process. And this is why we have to have. They ain't done it for us. Next slide. Fannie Lou Hamer ran for Congress. And we know so many people who run for Congress, but they never get our support, and they are down for our community. And a lot of times we're not engaged in this space because we focus on the top of the tier. One of the current issues that they talk about when they talk about shutting down the government, which you see in the second part, what made the cuts in the Congress plan to avoid a shutdown. What they're doing now, instead of passing a full budget for the year, they do what's called a continuing resolution. So they fund the government for 2 months. By them funding the government for 2 months, it's caused a problem with FEMA. FEMA got their funding, but it's only for 2 months. It's not for the entire year. Right. So you have 2 hurricanes, and that wipes out their budget for those 2 months. You're not prepared for the next hurricane or the next disaster that is to come. Another thing is the third line is the disaster loan program will be exhausted while Congress is still out of time. Right now they're on recess because everybody's running, because they run for every 2 years. This headline says the business administration can't make new law offers to people trying to rebuild after disasters like Hurricane Helene and Milton because the Small Business Administration is out of money. Has nothing to do with the president, has nothing to do with anybody else other than Congress. If they don't allocate the bill and the budget, then that falls on them. But nobody has energy for people in Congress. Nobody talks about what my United States Senator and my U.S. Congressperson does. They always talk about the president. And we never bring issues like this. When we show articles and you're talking to people, send them this article. That's your talking points to show them. Look, they can't do anything unless they put something on the desk. Next slide.
6 years for senators.
6 years for senators, yes. We're going to United States House of Representatives. The guy on the right is the one that runs the House. It's the third after the president that's in charge. God forbid if it gets to that point, but he will be the next one in line. If people vote right, the guy underneath him is Hakeem Jeffries. He could be over the House out of New York. So when we talk about up and down the ballot, it could either be Mike Hill or it could be the person down there. That's been down out of Irving, and we all know our congressional district number 30, Jasmine Crockett. And a lot of people were, when she was running, they were like, how come she's not on my ballot? It's because you don't live in that district. So it's so important that we're teaching people who represents you. And are you sending people who represent your values and views, like Jasmine Crockett, or are you sending someone that represents your values and views like you? So that's why we got to start talking about that down ballot and not just stay at the top. Next slide. Senate, y'all saw the debate last night. You got Ted Cruz, Mitch McConnell, and you got Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer. I have no energy, no slides on them. But what I wanted to do was pull up a YouTube clip when Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown, what's the Supreme Court Justice name? Ketanji Brown. Yeah, when she was running, and then the the senators were asking questions. And remind us of all that stuff that was going on. But next slide. No energy put in. I want to talk about the judicial branch. Next slide. We all know the Supreme Court. The president picks these people, the Senate confirms them. A lot of things that come out of this court can affect our lives. I want to talk about current issues. Next slide. These people. Well, let's do this first. This map is very important, and we don't talk about it a lot. What you see is the federal courts on top. Then it starts out with this trial, which is going to go to the district courts. When you talk about the feds and watching the feds charge with your district courts, which are all throughout the United States, you start there. Then you get to go to the appeals, and if you appeal, they get a regular jurisdiction, and then after that, you go to the United States Supreme Court if they decide to pick up the case. Same thing for the state of Texas. Texas has state courts, they have appellate courts, and then we have the state Supreme Court, which we'll go to the next slide and show you about this. Next slide. I want to talk about this. Martellus Williams, Robert Reed, and Freddie out of South Carolina. We shouldn't have to beg for our innocent black men not to get executed. If we would just be consistent voters. And a lot of times we're not consistent because all we're talking about is the top of the ticket. But these lives can be saved. What you see down at the bottom is Robert Reed, his life didn't save, but not because of slick Rick Perry. But we had to ask the government, can you give them a stay? And they did. And so when you don't, first it starts with your district attorney, which we're voting on your sample ballot. If they don't give you the rights that are given by the United States Constitution, they do faulty things. When you talk about racism tainted trials, and should they still be executed, that starts with your district attorney. And if your district attorney is dirty and just goes ahead and gets you convicted, then it goes to the next level, which is that appeals court. And if the appeal court doesn't feel like nothing was done wrong, then it goes to the next level, which is your state Supreme Court. And if the state Supreme Court doesn't see any problems with it, that's what happens when you get on death row and you stay on death row. Then your government can give a stay, but your government feel like, I don't want to give this person a stay. That's another level of government. Whereas if we're not participating, we have time and time again with checks and balances where we can save some of these people's lives. But that's not what's going on in our community because we only vote once every 4 years. And we're wondering why we don't see the changes we get. How it goes all up to the president, that's why I never say that local elections are more important. Man, all elections are important. When we get that ballot, as you look at your ballot, you're going to have federal, state, and local things you're going to be voting. And all of them matter. Because this man couldn't be alive today. If the Supreme Court had said yes, if his governor had said yes, that district attorney had a change of mind, that state attorney general had a change of mind, this person could still be alive. And these are the things we're not talking about in our community. And it's so important. When you get that sample down and we start talking about lives can be saved if we know what these judges can do. And they can either kill a life or they can save it. But it's up to us to make sure we're consistent voters. Next slide. This is important because I brought this up because a lot of people don't know. Texas has two. Man, you need a shirt. You don't break that tag. Texas. Come on, man. You gotta keep the resources in form. But Texas has two Supreme Courts. Two. The diagram, you see it. One of the Supreme Courts is for civil, for business. The other one is for criminal. So anytime you sue a business or whatever the case may be, or sue the United States legislator, whatever the case, they go to the civil side. The criminal side is if you're convicted of a crime, then it goes all the way there, and they have the jurisdiction to say, yes, we'll take the case, or no, we don't. Court of Appeals, we're going to be voting on over 80 8 judges for the Court of Appeals. Anytime you see our district courts and those lower courts, they look like people who look like us. We know those people, Amber Gibbons, Shakita Kelly, Chica Anya, all these people who are on these lower courts. We know it, Judge Boyer, all these people, when they can come with a decision and it can go to the second level and get overturned. We gotta look at that second level. And that's the 5th Court of Appeals. There are gonna be 8 judges on your ballot. And we can change that second level Court of Appeals and some of the things that are coming out of our states that don't even get to reach to the United States Supreme Court. We can stop it right here in Texas because we elect our judges. And a lot of times, like I talk about that 3-legged stool, we're not participating in those elections. It skips the Court of Appeals if you're convicted of a crime, you get the death penalty and go straight to the Supreme Court. And that's your only appeal. And that court has looked straight one political party all this time. And you already know what they're talking about doing when they look like people like us. We have 3 people that are running on the ballot for the Supreme Court, for the State Court of Appeals, for the State Supreme Court. We're going to be electing 3 judges, and they stay there for 6 years. Next slide. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. I talked about that in the middle part, those 8 judges. It's 6 counties that will be voting on those 8 judges. There's 15 judges overall. 8 counties: Kaufman, Hunt, Grayson, Hunt counties, East Texas. If anybody knows anything about East Texas, Hunt, Greenville, all those areas down there, you know what political persuasion they are. Collin County, Rockwall County, and Dallas County. Majority of the court cases that are coming out of those 6 counties come from Dallas and Collin. And majority of those cases look like us. That's why it's so important that we are looking at the second level of government, judicial branch, to ensure those judges reflect our values and our values. And you have over 13 courts, appellate courts throughout the entire state of Texas, and all those people will be voting on those judges, and they're there for 6 years. Next slide. Reproductive rights. A lot of this stuff can stop right here in the state of Texas. If we can get people to vote consistently in the state of Texas. Texas Supreme Court rejected the abortion law. We've heard about that. But this next law right here, if you, gambling is illegal in Texas. But if you go to Vegas, you can bet, no problem. You can do sports betting online, no problem. Weed is illegal in Texas, but you can go to Denver, buy your weed, buy your stuff, and come back, no problem. If you leave the state and you get an abortion, they want to track you and where you go to say you had an abortion. Now, how is that fair that I can leave the state and go to Denver and buy weed and bring it back? How does it say that gambling is illegal and nobody's tracking you when you gamble? But a woman who wants to take care of health care access, leave the state, why is she being followed and doesn't have access to privacy? State Attorney General is the one who sued. He'll be up for re-election in 2026. We got to start talking about these things and how they affect our lives as people. Next slide. On your ballot, you see we're voting for sheriff. Marion County Jail custody guys. Record shows us the 10th death for that year in 2023. County jail. 10th death that year. Sheriff is the one that's over the county jails. Tarrant County settlement with a woman whose baby died to get her birth alone in jail. A woman who gave birth to unattended, and Tarrant County Jail will receive $1.2 million settlement from the county. Tarrant County Commission unanimously approved the agreement with Chastity Congenius Tuesday morning. They have over 17 deaths under this one sheriff in Tarrant County.
I don't know how much pain we have to go through in our community for us to be people to start with. Those people that are dying, looking like us, this lady lost a baby. How does it affect those people in Tarrant County? It affects them because now you have to pay lawsuits. Tarrant County used to only have to pay $400,000 for lawsuits. Now it's looking like they're going to have to pay $18 million. Where does that money come from?
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers.
Yeah.
That's you paying your taxes on your house. They're going to have to find that money in the budget from somewhere. And unfortunately, when they find that money, they're going to have to take it from other programs and something else is going to lack. So that's why it's important for your county commissioners, who do you vote for that represents you, and who you vote for sheriff matters because people are dying in jails. And do we continue on with the same person who's been there for over 30 years, or is it time for a new sheriff to take over and watch over our jails? Next slide. The cabinet. Does anybody know anybody on these slides?
Yes,
Who you got?
Eric Gordon,
Romero,
Eileen Gavin, Cardona, and
you have to use your mouth.
I'm trying to remember her name.
Who do these people, how do these people get picked? Does anybody know?
President of the United States.
President of the United States, this is his cabinet. Next slide. Secretary of Defense, I see Boyd Austin right there. Janet Yellen, Secretary Treasurer, Pete Buttigieg on transportation. A lot of times when we talk about who do we pick for president, we never look at the cabinet that we're picking. And what can that cabinet do for the changes of my life and what that looks like? Next slide. Next slide. I know the president is. What's up missing on this slide right there? It talked about those 15 positions in the departments that they are related to. Let's talk about, when I talk about what has the administration done for black people under this administration? Land grants. Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Education got together and they went back to the states and said states unfunded historically black land grants about $13 billion over three decades. So they wrote a letter and so from the Secretary of Agriculture and Education and they sent it to all these governors, 16 governors, urging them to rectify inequities in funding of HBCUs. The one on the left talks about Langston University. They had over $30 million for the past 30 years. They've been missing out on $400 million in funding from the state legislature. They sent it to all the governors. It says your Tennessee State University, you all have not been funding these schools equitably with your public institutions. You've been funding University of Tennessee, but you haven't been funding Tennessee State. UT gets an enormous amount of money, but then when it comes to these other public institutions, they don't get but pennies on the dollar. It talked about it in this article right here as well, that University of Advance Average, scroll a little bit. The other way, sorry. To the left, I'm trying to get to the left. All right. Did I push it down? Other way. Well, Oklahoma State got average of $3, and Langston University only got 41 of the appropriation that was there. So it was 3 to 1, the dollars that they would donate to give it to the schools to fund those schools. And they were talking about how they did over $400, and if those investments could impact the Oklahoma economy, it could help Langston University. And they were supposed to set aside an endowment, and they never really did. They never really funded these schools. And that's upon us to hold those state representatives, those 150, those 31 accountable to say you all need to start funding HBCUs equity. Think about the economic wealth that can do for our communities, for our schools, for the resources of our kids that are going there, how much they could change this black wealth gap that we're seeing in our communities.
Another thing that's changing the black drug gap. Go to the right. Scroll up a little bit, down. 7 states soon will buy the student loan program. I have frat brothers. One told me today he had over $80,000 forgiven his student loans. I had another frat brother who had $60,000 forgiven. His wife got another $60,000. What kind of economic opportunities can that be for our people? When you were able to have $120,000 of debt wiped off, you could go buy your house, you can fund your kids' education, you can make investments in the stock market, you can build generational wealth for the next generations to come in your family through this program. But you have 7 state attorney generals sue and says, no, you can't forgive this loan. That's why we have to vote on all levels. The president can come up with an idea and say, I'm going to do student loan forgiveness, it can help African Americans out. It can cost us $475 billion, but think about what that can do for the black families and the people that we know. But you have a state attorney general who can sue in that district court we talked about at the top. Go to the appellate court and go all the way to the Supreme Court, and those 9 justices can say it's unconstitutional and not fair. PPP loans, wipe that. Money that you sent over to Israel and all that other stuff, wipe that. Stuff to help the people, no, unconstitutional. Next slide.
That is, oh yeah, next slide. 28. All right.
The important election dates what's going on there, but we're trying to encourage our people, pull your sample ballot. That's why it's so important to know what these positions do and how they can affect our lives. That's how you have to encourage people to pull the sample ballot. Because that ballot can be very intimidating when you talk to students, how I said on the 23rd, and I really want to come this week, and so we can have sessions like this so we can ask questions. Because a girl got a ballot one time, she's like, I don't know what all this stuff is.
That's right.
It can be very intimidating. And so when we come in spaces like this, I don't want to just preach at people. I want to be able to equip and educate people. Here's the current topic. Here's how it relates to the position. Can we get consistent voters? And every election. Who has questions? Dialogue, thoughts?
I got
Go ahead.
man, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the conversation I've had today, pretty much all week. Every day I'm something. Thought I saw you.
I was there Monday. That was Monday. Yeah, that's at church. That's my church.
Man, one of the things that hurt me, it's sad and deep in the head. Yesterday I was at town hall, and I get a lot of phone calls, people complaining about what's going on in politics, who I'm showing. Yesterday at town hall, it's the usual suspect. Not the people that's complaining, but the people that's always engaged. Sometimes, like yesterday, Larry Gracie was there, Carol King, she was there, Phil was there, Maurice West was there. It's the same old people. But the people who do all the complaining ain't never there.
Right.
Like today. This is heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, it was.
I ain't say I was about to cry, but it was heartbreaking that ain't nobody doing this.
Yeah.
And you just giving out all of this valuable information. Honestly, I don't know, madam right here, Rick, but
That's crazy.
you giving us information, right? And I'm sitting there like, oh, somebody else need this information, right? And our issue as people, and I just literally had this conversation, is engagement.
Right.
Man, we do the things we do till we blow in our face.
Right.
But we always preaching to the choir. I think we got to figure out how to get everybody engaged, and some of these old ways ain't working.
It's not.
And we got to figure out a way to reach people, get them interested, and then engaged. I called out, I looked at the flyer, I said, okay, I'm here at 8 o'clock, I'm calling out my time. But when I get here, I don't feel it's a waste of my time, I feel it's a waste of your time. And I'm this close from being angry. You know what I'm saying? Because now I'm on the phone with people who got everything to say,
Right.
but nothing to do.
Mm.
So, you know, my comment is just simply, all of that's good. But we're gonna be always preaching to the choir. I think our biggest issue is getting the numbers that need to, whatever that number needs to be, the masses interested, then engaged. They're not even interested. Everybody, for the most part, that's gonna go vote, we engage. Our voter education number is sufficient. People that don't vote ain't even interested. But they got everything to say about the top of the ticket.
Right.
And what's wrong. Because they click and click. They see in the headlines. They're not doing no research. You know, this is hard.
Tell you stay encouraged.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm a fighter. Let me tell you. I'll express how I feel.
Yeah,
I'm a gladiator, right? I'm a straight up warrior. And I'm just saying that because but we have to figure out a way. And it's not going to happen between now and next.
It actually is.
What's that?
It is.
No. I mean, I'm real. These people ain't interested right now. They're not going to be interested enough to rush to the poll. We got to catch the people who are already engaged, but have a different opinion. Like, not to say that voter education is, we're a little bit behind, but people that's gonna go vote in 20 days, 19 days, they already know the issue, they already make their mind. We got to worry about it. Till today, right? The uneducated ain't going.
They're going. They're going. And a lot of people are uneducated look like me. They in my organization.
Right.
I can talk to them, and a lot of this stuff we talk about, they can't make the connection between the stuff we talked about. Because a lot of stuff I didn't know first. I should have put up a Christian Court from the Department of Justice and what she has doing and what she's doing, and play that clear. And when you elect the president, we need the Department of Justice and civil rights piece of it, because when there are violations of our rights with the police, when there are violations of our rights around voting, we need the civil rights department to look and investigate this. And she's been prosecuting cops, calling balls and strikes, and doing a lot of great stuff in the community, which don't reach the news. And a lot of people don't even know. I think what we got to do is more partnerships. Tonight, Carter had an HBCU night. I'm like, we should have been over there at the HBCU. Mountain View does great things. We need to be there during that lunch period and time period, and that's when we need to go where the people are instead of telling the people to come to us.
Right.
And so that's the opportunity that I want to talk to Casey about, is because everybody's doing a lot. They had an HBC United Carter, Delta's had a domestic violence event, somebody else had another event. So all these people are being pulled everywhere. When really our number one focus has got to be around voting. Pulling the sample ballot, because a lot of people don't know you can pull your sample ballot, print it out, you can take it in there, and you can go vote. And we got to promote information. And then once you pull your sample ballot, man, I don't understand who these people are. Railroad Commission, I don't know what the Railroad Commission, I don't even know who running for Railroad Commission. And I'm in it.
Right.
I don't even know who, I know what I'm voting for. But I don't even know what that person does. But yeah, I do know what they do now, because I have to research it. But it has to do with natural gas and oil. And it talked about in West Texas, there's environmental pollution going on because these wells that are dry are starting to explode with just water. And then there's nothing they can do about it. Fracking, the earthquakes that are happening, all this stuff because we're drilling with no consequences from what's going on and no concern for lives of people that live in these rural areas.
Not thinking about the environmental justice about it. Just thinking about it.
Right. Right.
So they're thinking about it, they're just weighing the options.
This is
Right.
true.
And it's not where they live,
Right.
you know, it's where the other people live.
You're right.
So, you know, they just, doing what they do.
Like a person that can turn on the water, like the water on fire,
Gas in the water.
versus methane and stuff versus somebody else that they probably don't use their tap water. They body water at the school and stuff like that. It's like you really have to think about the environmental justice part of it when it comes to energy and how we produce our energy. Because the Republicans are saying, hey, we want to be energy efficient, self-reliant, or what's the cost of that? So that's something you have to talk to people about because they are not getting this information in the schools, they're not getting the seminars unless they come to something like this where you have to talk to them and say, hey, this is a cost that is happening to you. We can use a prime example of Shingle Mountain that was in District 8 at one point. How it affected the soil and how it was seeping into the railway. Or we can talk about Salmon Ranch. They're part of the city of Dallas, but they're not getting in the water or anything like that. They got to depend on donations from surrounding cities and nonprofit organizations. But it's stuff like that that's not being highlighted and really taught. And people, when they're in their apathy and they're not educated on the issues and feel like they're local matter, they're going to turn out. And that's what we have to let them know. Why is it that they're taking away Section 5 of Voting Rights Act of 1965 to redraw the district to limit the power of the people? Why are they trying to come up with all these voter suppression laws or ID requirements or put out false narratives of immigrants or coming over because it's an open border policy and now they're voters? It's because of distractions, not knowing philosophy, not knowing government, civics, not knowing history.
Right.
And they're manipulated. So,
But I think the biggest issue is nobody knows the process. Like you said, three-legged stool, you caught the tail end of the conversation I was on, but man, it's absolutely heartbreaking when you have people who are so vocal about what somebody has done or haven't done. I'm trying to tell them, they can't. What do you mean? A president doesn't have that power, right? The president don't pass laws.
Right.
That happens at the legislative level,
Right.
not at the executive level. So when people are expressing these narratives that he ain't or she ain't did, that's not their job. You know, and I was explaining to the lady today, I had a presentation today at the Soto Civic Center. I did a leadership development presentation for Hickory Trail Hospital. We're having some leadership issues, culture ain't good. And what I explained to them is, in most situations, everybody don't know everybody's job. We're on the same team. It is an absolute must that I know your job, I know yours, I know mine, and I know yours, because your job might depend on mine.
Right.
I can't be mad at you for not doing something, and I ain't done my part.
Right.
So when somebody mad at Chris, because he didn't do his part, well, he has a legitimate claim if he say, I didn't do mine. He not passing the buck, but it's an assembly line. So until I do mine, he can't do his. And when it comes to politics, people don't know because they either forgot in class or they talking about it. Right? And these are grown people. These are folks our age who screaming, shouting up and down about what Kamala Harris had done. I said, do you know her job? Do you know what the vice president can and can't do?
Right.
In a nutshell, nothing. One, the first job is just be prepared to be the president should the president go down.
That's it.
Second, just like any other vice president in any other organization, you have committees that you oversee. Oh, well, she's responsible for the border. Well, what you mean responsible? Define responsibility. What you think that means? Somebody else is over that. That's a committee. She's still just an overseer. We all, us three, I'm not sure about you, we're all in fraternities, right? At the undergraduate level, I was our boss, president. I got into it with our advisor in 1997 or something, right? And told him, you're just an advisor. You don't get to make decisions in this chapter. We will listen to you and we'll take that into consideration. But you don't make no decisions. You don't get to vote. Should there be a tie, and we can't break the tie, then what happens? He was upset. But he was mad because I told the truth. That's the same job of vice president. You don't get to make no decisions. You just oversee, the committees provide reports, and then you. So it's so frustrating to see people who have the loudest voices be loud and wrong. I'm talking about really, really wrong.
I told you to do, switch up the subject.
Yeah,
Go to another level
yeah.
and ask them why they feel the way
This
they
is,
feel.
oh my goodness. And like I told myself, you keep moving the finish line. You create the subject, I get to it, you see you losing, and then you go to another subject. Get back over here. Get back over here so we can finish what you started.
They don't want to do that.
So, you know, it's just, it's amazing, but I do understand that, you know, it's America. So,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's this election or not, it won't be fixed. It can be fixed, but this is a long-term problem. And we have to figure out a way to get people interested in these games.
I hate we keep losing now.
What's that?
I hate that we keep losing now. The numbers are there. It's just that what we have in our organization is episodic wins, and we never really try to come together to focus on how we all can work together.
You don't understand?
And-
We can't come together until you have a real understanding of how it works. That's why we can't. come together. That's why it's episodic, right? Because it's episodic because it's emotional. It's not based on logic. It's not based on education. It's not based on reason. It's based on how I feel. Like she lived, you know, and I'm saying she could have had this conversation. She literally said, "I can't believe you're the founder of the state of the black man and you're going to vote for the Democrats." And I said, honestly, I don't vote party.
Right.
I don't give a damn about the party.
Right.
That same ring on the damn dirty bird. Right? So I vote policy. I vote people if I don't have a clear understanding of policy. I don't do party. You know, of course, you know, we got mainly our part of the system. People say pick a side, but pick the issue. But people are lazy. They don't want to read. They don't want to know what the issue is. And that's what we have to fix. We have to fix the laziness. And as a black man, not buying into, oh, she did this to black men. Like, I am a legitimate spokesperson for why none of us should buy into it. Because I've done my real homework. I am that 3-4 time felon that if there was some offense taken, I should be the one who can say and scream fire.
Right.
But because I did my homework, I'm not screaming fire. That ain't what happened. It's like, man. But like I said, we have to, those of us that show up, we got to go back to the drawing board on what our strategy is. How do we get people out? How do we get people interested? And how do we get people engaged? Because the music always sounds good when you preach to the choir.
Yeah, I can kind of speak to that. Being a member of OVO as well, seeing the different coalitions come together, work together, and doing different type of events instead of just preaching to the choir or just preaching to people, period. They find different ways, like the carpool, the seminars, or even the block party on the 26th. In line with Souls to the Polls, trying to get people educated, let them know, hey, this is the time period that you have as far as early voting. This is the ballot. We're going to party, we're going to have a little party with purpose, but we're going to get you to the polls as well. We're going to have a block walk, and we're going to get you to the polls. I think that is going to appeal to.
And you got to go where the people are. We got to go to the community colleges. If that's where the students are, we're registered to vote. Okay, we got them registered. Let's go back and let's do education. We can't ask people to come to us.
You got to take this online.
I got to get it online, and I got to go to the people. I would have been at that HBCU, and we would have had, I'm going to tell everybody, put up their sample ballot. And you can look at this information and know before you go. When people start talking about the top of the ticket and they don't have no, they already know, got their mind made up, cool. Let's talk about the rest of the ballot, and let's talk about that. Talk to a homeboy from East Texas, which is crazy. And he said, well, I don't know anything about the other one. And I'm like, well, hell, if you don't know anything about that, then you really don't know anything about the top.
So thank you.
But
They
then they
read
look
headlines.
at, but they look at the body of work, and if they see you been out there community, I respect what you have to say. Okay, let's look at what we have to say. Let's send about Breonna Taylor and the federal judge that got appointed. It's told them cops that they didn't do anything wrong. Oh, he had, good. And he got bumped down to a misdemeanor. That was a federal judge that was appointed by Ronald Reagan. So when you say you're supporting this president, and he picks federal judges that are there for a lifetime. Lifetime.
Had that conversation today too.
That's after generation, long after this person is gone, they're there for a lifetime. That philosophy is there. And Congress can pass a law, but it doesn't make a difference. The courts can come back and say it's unconstitutional. So your inaction is an action by which you cooperate with your enemy to hold us back. And that's what's going on. You cooperate with your enemy to hold us back. And it's because you really don't know how the system really truly works. And you send them headlines, sent them debt, sent them student loan forgiveness. They've been to college, they got student loan debt. Don't you want this debt wiped out? What would that do to your life? Yeah, I do want that wiped out. But then they're not good for businesses and all this other stuff, and they're not hiring for jobs. They're not hiring for jobs. It's not good for business. You just gotta have these one-on-one conversations and educate people. And a lot of people are not for community. And so you shake the dust from your feet and you just keep it pushing.
So you said that we could make a change in the few weeks that we have.
Yes.
How?
We have to go where the people are. I have to do partnerships with you and like, hey, let me go up there and be a part and talk to you. Let's educate people to pull their sample ballot. Start with your family. Really, I like relationship organizing. I don't like block walking. There are 20 people on your phone you can call right now and help them to convince them to get the information in them. And if you contact your 20, and tell them to contact 20, what I wanted to do was a social media campaign. We had the blackout situation, whereas we blacked out the timeline when we didn't want African Americans to purchase nothing that day, and you saw that just flutter. You saw it when people joined for Kamala Harris.
That's based on emotion. We can't.
We have to try. Founders Day, that's why I say like your Founders Day. Everybody's posting on Founders Day. If we post the same message on the same day, people get the information.
Right, but what I'm saying is this. Long term, we have to get out of thinking to capitalize on emotion and really start on a massive scale, educate people. So we have to look at them as consumers. How does all of the big companies reach them when they want to give them information? They give them to them through the phone.
Right.
I love this. I love coming somewhere in person. I ain't missed nothing going on in the city for the last month. I can do that because I'm single, I ain't got no kids, so I'm at every day, I'm somewhere. Tomorrow, I'm in the Senior Hills at Zarensby. Friday, I'm at something. Saturday, I'm at something. Sunday, I'm feeding office. Monday, I'm going to the dentist, I ain't doing nothing. But Tuesday, I'm back home. Because I'm trying to find the problems. I'm mining for problems right now so I can start figuring out what the solutions are. And the thing that I'm seeing, like you said, we have to get out of being so emotional. Emotions shouldn't be why we move. We have to figure out how to move because we're educated, because we're informed, not because we feel a certain way. You know, well, that's again, that's the problem. Why we got to work on it? See, we got to get past the pacification. We got to get past that approach ain't gonna work.
No, I never said that.
Hold on. You said we got to work on that approach, right?
Sure.
If we got to work on it, then that alludes to it ain't gonna work, right? We always worried about tiptoeing around feelings so people won't be offended. No, they need to be offended. You know, like I was speaking to my friend today, I said, don't hold it against me because I'm telling you the truth. We got to get to where we telling the truth. We got to get, because they'll be hurt and they'll heal. But we got to hurt them first. If we never tell that hard truth, they never go through the healing process. They think they're okay. They think they're okay. They think they're just fine. You have to hurt the feelings so they don't use it no more. And our problem is we tiptoeing around the issues, we tiptoeing around accountability, we tiptoeing around responsibility, and we letting everybody make it because we don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. We can't, that's why we'll never progress.
I don't know. It's just in my experience when I'm working with people, it's all about the approach. And usually when I'm talking about voting or whatever the case in education, as you know, I don't have to punch them in the face. Well, I do punch them in the face in a way. But I punch them when they get that aha moment, but I don't have to punch them. It's just the way you just have the conversation.
How has that worked?
It's worked. Man, I've got mine changed.
Listen, relationships, right? I know where he's going, but we got to be real. Does it feel like it worked, or has it really worked? See, we a lot of times we feel a certain way and we think that's real, because we feel it. But what's the fact, right? Feelings are not facts. You know, I have a lot of people get mad at me when I say that, right? But feelings are not facts. Feelings are not facts. We got to get beyond how something feels to us, right? And let's really look at the numbers. Did it work?
Yeah.
I had one of the biggest moments in my fraternity journey. One of our former district representatives, he said he graded chapters like this. You have a rubric to grade it. If that chapter makes less than a 60, and he was giving it to 60. You know, D degrees is what they say, right?
That's right.
If it made less than a 60, he was looking to shut it down because it was fair. But it was failing, right? It was failing. If you have a business that's failing, do you keep it?
You find the resources to make that business flourish.
You keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and it never gets above failing. What do?
I don't believe it's shut down.
I don't need it. But I'm just talking to business. I'm just talking to business, right? I don't believe it's shutting down undergraduate chapters either because I'm undergraduate made and I know undergraduates are the lifelines of every organization. Nobody looked at the graduate chapter and said, I want to be in that organization. Their first introduction or love for it was because they saw undergraduate chapter doing what we do. But when it comes to a mindset, when you have a failing mindset, you got to shut that one down. If you want something new, you got to kill that old thing. And we got an old thing that ain't working. Every year, every 4 years, every 2 years, we doing the same stuff. Same song today.
But I think it's because people are not educated and they're not aware.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So we can't go off of feelings. We got to go off of some level of accountability. How do we really measure this? How do we know it's working? Where are the statistics? What's the data that says it's working?
Well, the reason why it's not working is because everybody, when it comes to voting, it's only two things. The voting thing is registration and taking seniors to the polls. When you talk to
So watch this.
Yeah.
Contrary. I asked somebody, I looked at the numbers. In Texas, we got good voter registration.
Yeah.
We got a terrible turnout.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe we ain't got to worry about so much voter registration.
Well, you can't say that. Because guess what? Guess what? I agree with you.
Hold on, listen. Maybe we ain't got to worry about that because we're good there.
Yeah.
We got to figure out a way to get the turnout.
That part.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. You're right.
And I'm looking at the number of people in District 8, and I'm looking at how many people voted in the last election. And I was balling.
It was less than 1,000.
2016 to be
In
exact.
District
District 8, 2016 people voted out of 95,000 people. I could just ball up and cry, right? No, I looked at the records.
Okay.
I looked at 2016, Tanel got 1585, Sabrina Brenham got 353, and Devontae Peters got 78. I do my math. I'm a student of whatever I put my eyes on, right? And when I'm looking at all of this data, This is what we're dealing with. 2,016 people out of 95,000 plus people. That's
Were
it.
those, were they registered, the 95,000? How many were?
No, it's not registered,
Okay,
but it's the population,
okay.
right?
I'm just-
So that says, I don't even, the 2,000 people that showed up, you could be registered and vote and not vote, it don't mean nothing. I'm only looking at the people who actually use it.
Right.
Right? So it could have been 50,000 people registered to vote. They ain't come out. So I have to look at that entire number. How do you change that 2,000 to something else? Can we at least get that to 9? Can we get 10% of the people give a shit? So how do we do that? You see what I'm saying? That's what we got to start figuring out. How do you get people to give a damn?
Go ahead.
As I said before, you're gonna have to find out the same population. In many cases, emotions work, and activism, it works. As we've seen during the time of George Floyd was murdered. We see it work, but that becomes a white lash on the back end of the reasons get rolled back. And when it comes to local elections, I think it's the apathy, oh, my vote don't count. It's a lack of knowing that there's an election going on at the same time. And then two, who is actually on the side and what is it? That's your biggest thing, in my opinion, when it comes to 3, 8, 4, 7.
Right. The Free is vote. Free has a large turnout out of all the applicants. It's not large, but when I look at cases numbers, I ain't know TNL got 15. This 1 year, it's like it was just less than 1,000. I was like, this is ridiculous.
I can tell you if it's my phone.
It is mine.
It's mine. You know, and I'm very analytical, right? I'm not emotional much at all because emotions don't do anybody much good. You know? First thing you say to make you sad sometimes. You look at why they're emotional. If they're emotional, look at why.
Right.
I always take the next step. I ask the why. Okay, give me that answer, well, why that? Give me that answer, well, why that? You got to get to the root of it. I always say we deal with the fruit of the problems. We will never deal with the root of it. We always deal with the fruit of the problem and we think we're doing something that's going to grow back. That's why we in this cycle, because we never get to the root of the problem. And we have to figure out how to get to the root of the problem because people are not interested.
And the reason that is because we never have those type of conversations in spaces like this.
Right.
Because once again, people talk about voter registration is instant gratification. And all they know is to go pick up the seniors, but they never talk about the educational piece, and they never look at who's not voting. Everybody was talking about the million people that were purged, but then when you look in 2022, 9 million people didn't go vote. Why do we not make a big fuss that 9 million people did not go vote?
Because there's no accountability and responsibility, right? 9 people didn't go vote. You don't want to hold them accountable. But as soon as somebody do something to you, your feelings hurt. Oh, they purged, you wasn't going anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I think part of it is like what we're trying to incorporate now. When you go vote, see if you can take 5 to 10 people with you.
Right.
We weren't doing that in the past.
Right.
That can increase the turnout.
Now, I'm gonna
But
tell you.
people don't know why they need to take 5 to 10 people because they think everybody's voting. But everybody's not. They're assuming.
They're assuming. So
Yeah.
what I've learned in, I call it the work, right? That I do in the community, and a lot of the violence interruption, a lot of stuff that I've done over the years. You have to make whatever you need done, you have to make it cool.
That's what I'm saying. You're right.
It's got to have a cool factor, right?
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to make being involved and interested in politics cool. A lot of younger black men didn't start paying attention to politics and certain things until Killer Mike down on the stage was really involved. We have to be intentional and going to get spokespeople to make this thing cool, right? Don't nobody want to hear from us. We ain't cool.
So on that point, I was thinking,
I know I am, but
so the information you gave us can be broken down. And so I have a school full of students, and I'm sitting here looking at that backdrop before a play. They can stand in front of that and do little TikToks. And then they just go out. I mean, that's, reach our students. And there you go. And then and then it just keeps going and it keeps going. And like you said, that's how it looks sexy.
right, you get the kids, but you got to get celebrities too. We got to use them and lean on them. In that civil rights movement, that's what they did. We went and started trying to reinvent the wheel. They had celebrities engaged politically. They had the football players, they had the boxers, they had the entertainers. They were all engaged politically. That movement wasn't that movement because, everybody felt good and everybody was educated. They had somebody look at it and say, oh shit, he doing it? Nah, I'm gonna be that good.
Not only that, they can see that it could be me. It could be me getting beat in the streets as well. So there was an emotion.
It's still happening. Is this not a big dance?
It's people have gotten used to it to the point that it doesn't shock them to say, hey, I need to do something. They just see, oh, it's just another person that got shot and killed, or abortions have been outlawed, this, that, and the other, and they don't feel like it can happen to them or affect somebody that's close to them until it actually happens. And that's when the emotions get in. It's like, oh shit, we gotta get out here in the streets, we gotta go vote, we gotta do all this. But
being reactive.
yeah, it's reactive instead of proactive. But you also got the fact that it's not a national holiday. They in survival mode. They ain't trying to take off from work. They ain't planning to go vote. They ain't making a plan, period, as far as researching anything. They just reacting off of, oh shit, today's the last day, I need to go vote. Let me go out here and try to do it. Then next thing you know, you're in line to midnight or so, or the center say, hey, you can't vote. You need to get out of the line. But you've been in line for a long time. You gotta go to a restaurant, you're home on Thursday. Now they trying to outlaw that when it comes to Harris County and Travis. So it's so many different things that's personal responsibility, what we need to do, and also what other people are doing to prevent us from doing that. We get caught up in that apathy, that survival mode, and the only time we really want to do something is when something is happening to us and we react.
Get away from feeling.
But the thing is, the majority, and I hate to say it and generalize, but the majority of black folks, we are reactionary.
Right.
We are emotional. We are not taught emotional intelligence,
right,
or delayed gratification, or make a plan of action before this happens. Be prepared.
That's what we have to do. I used to say, I don't do politics.
I says, do you?
Until the statement is made. Politics do you whether you do it or not. Yeah. And most people don't know what that looks like. They don't know what part of their life is affected by politics. And we don't teach that part. Openly, right? That has to be the thing that people realize. So again, it's the education, it's being interested. How do you get them interested? You turn fear on the other side. We're not teaching them what to be scared of. Be scared of when you don't get involved in politics, because fear is what it looks like. Once you can catch their attention from the facts, not the feelings, then you can get them engaged. They don't get engaged because they're not interested. They don't think, people say they vote don't matter, right? Because they don't know how politics is or is not affected. They don't know what it looks like. So, another part of my time to get out here. We gotta get out here. 6 minutes.
What time is it?
7:54.
I learned this from Ben about the relational part. Find out what's interest to them, what affects them, and talk to them about that issue. Customize that interaction with them based upon their self-interest and the interest of the community. If you can get people to do that, you can get them to go do
But they don't know what it is.
Well, we got to say what's important to them. Some is important.
Yeah, you can see what's important to them. and then say, well, this is how politics affects that.
That's it.
So listen,
You got a program when? On a
Wednesday.
Wednesday night. Which Wednesday?
this Wednesday coming up, 23rd.
Okay.
It's called, Where Do We Stand on Politics? State of the Black Man is hosting a Zoom. It's online conversation.
What y'all talking about?
Where do we stand on politics? Stuff like this, but you get people on the Zoom, they're not gonna show up, right? If the person they want to meet ain't there, if ain't no pictures on the flyer, they ain't coming.
Really, our number one purpose is really just to engage our community and to get them to become consistent voters. If it was a dog catcher, we want you involved in that and making sure that that dog catcher is catching dogs on your side and not just the north side of the city. And so that's why we do. We encourage everyone to get out and to pull their sample ballot, look up those positions, and know before they go. And that's why we are here for Our Vote, Our Voice, to encourage people and equip them to get out and go change their community so they can be the community that they want it to be. So that's why we're here today. And we say thank you for you all, and make sure you get out and go vote. Early vote, October the 21st to November the 1st. Anywhere in the city of Dallas, you can vote if you're registered in Dallas County. Thank you.